So what's going on, you guys? This is New York Adventure in 1994 here, and today is Thursday, February 20th, 2020. And something's been going on with not my team, but my dad's friend's team, the St. Louis Blues. Since mid-January, like the 15th, they lost 4-3 overtime to the Philadelphia Flyers, and they just started losing everything and only made 3 wins. After beating the Devils, they got off to a 5-game losing streak beforehand, and now I'm starting to get worried for this team because of Vladimir Tarasenko still being out. And ever since January, the St. Louis Blues have been falling apart little by little, week after week, because of all their losing and stuff. And they won like 3 or 4 games since January 15th. And what I see right now is that I don't like, and right now I am really worried for the St. Louis Blues team. After they got themselves back into the playoffs last year and got a Stanley Cup against the Boston Bruins, and they just got off to another bad year, 2017-18, when they missed the playoffs by 1 point to the Colorado Avalanche. And it also ended Colorado's 4-year playoff drought. And it put an end to the St. Louis Blues 7-year playoff run. But they were really strong in the start of the season, but by February of 2018 they started falling apart, and this is what got them in trouble, and this is what got them to miss the playoffs. This is what got them to miss the playoffs in 2018. They were going the right way to missing the playoffs in February because they kept on losing. And the same thing is happening all over again. Since January, when they started losing everything. Their last 10 record is so disgusting right now. When you take a look at the last 10 games record, that will make you determine whether it's good or bad. Right now, it's really bad. And they keep on losing. The last 10 games on there is a losing record. They have a losing record of 10 games of the last 10, and it's not looking that pretty right now. So I know they had a good run in the beginning of the season, even though they lost Tarasenko, but now without him they're just starting to suffer a lot of losses, and I'm really nervous for this team. Right now I'm just really nervous about this team missing the playoffs once again for another even year. I'm hoping they're not having this curse too, just like up in Canada. There are a lot of teams right now that are like falling apart, like Columbus once again, and Toronto. They keep Toronto keeps on moving from third to fourth place. Like They're like fighting the Panthers for the third playoff spot in the Atlantic. And Columbus had a good run, but I didn't expect it to last long because I expected them to miss the playoffs, period. I did not expect them to be good in the middle of the season. I expected them to look bad this whole season and miss the playoffs again after 4 years. I thought they weren't going to make it, and that's going to happen. It looks like they lost 6 in a row, and they're going to play against the Philadelphia Flyers tonight, and they have a good chance of getting destroyed tonight because Columbus is starting to fall apart again. They had a good run, but I did not expect it to last long. I expected more of this right now, of what's happening to Columbus Blue Jackets. And this year, for the third playoff spot in the Atlantic, if I had to choose between Florida and Toronto, I would say Florida this year. Because they do good in leap years, mostly. Oh, and if St. Louis misses the playoffs or doesn't win the division, either Dallas or Colorado is going to win the division because St. Louis, Colorado, and Dallas are like the top three teams in the Central right now, and something tells me it's going to be those three that are going to win the division. St. Louis, Colorado, and Dallas are the top three in the Central right now. While everyone else is like going in and out. And Minnesota and Chicago, they're not doing so good. I expect both Minnesota and Chicago to miss the playoffs. I expect both of those teams to miss it. I did not expect the Chicago Blackhawks to be good at all this year. Because they are still rebuilding. And I won't be surprised, just like the Rangers, that they'll make the playoffs in 2021. That's how long I'm giving the Rangers. And that's how long I'm giving Montreal and Chicago. Till next year. But I don't expect those three to make the playoffs either. And all three of those California teams, I think they're done too. For the past several even years, all three of them made the playoffs, but this even year, it's the total opposite. They're all gonna miss the playoffs. All three do the same thing every 2 years. Whether it's making the playoffs or all three of them miss the playoffs. But I'm gonna stay more confident on San Jose because they're still like one of the aggressive teams in the West in California. So I'm gonna stay confident about them, but Anaheim and LA, no. I don't expect them to make it next year. Especially the Kings. I still expect them to be in last place next year. And so are the Devils. I expect both LA and New Jersey to be in last place next year. Because every 2 years it's just a complete train wreck with them, especially. So, those two I expect to be in last place. And up in the Metropolitan Division, Pittsburgh is like in first place right now. And something tells me with how good they're doing, I think they're gonna outrun Washington in the division because of how good they're doing. And I think Washington's gonna finish second now because I saw much aggression in Pittsburgh than I do in Washington. And they just like win away everything. They become like this destroying machine toward the end of the season. When they could be in last place for the first few weeks of the season. It's just an example. They haven't really fell into last place that often because they would do anything to fix everything. My top four picks for the Metropolitan Division are Pittsburgh, Washington, Philly, and the Islanders. And my top four picks for the Atlantic are Boston, Tampa Bay, Florida, and Toronto. But somebody's gonna fall out because the Metropolitan Division is more stronger than the Atlantic. Because of all the teams that are on there that are just aggressive. And the team that in the division that the Blues are on are aggressive. Whichever team shares the same division with St. Louis, that's like the aggressive division in the West, Central. It's mostly Central that's the best pick than the Pacific. Because somebody always gets in trouble in the Pacific. Because somebody has to keep losing and stuff over there. I mean, those teams do have their bad days in the Pacific, but not all the time. So, I don't know what's gonna happen to St. Louis now. I'm worried that they'll miss the playoffs, but I'm gonna stay confident for the rest of the season. We'll see what happens. I just hope they don't miss the playoffs. That's my biggest concern. But I am gonna stay confident until they get eliminated or when they do clinch. But luckily I still have Tampa Bay to root for. And the Isles. So I guess that's it. Bye. Those are the last two that are doing good that I favor. Oh, and Boston. I guess that's it. Bye. Don't forget to keep it frigid.